Okay, what do we do here? Okay, as you follow along here, reflexive critique. Do you know this? We said about reflexive critique, or thinking and changing. This is the individual. This is the individual. Dialectic critique. You know this? You know this word, dialectic? Yeah, it's like if it's collaborative, then we work together, then we talk about it. It's dialectic critique. Collaboration, we talked about. How about risking disturbance? This is my Thai friends don't like it. They don't like to risk disturbance because they're going to hurt somebody's feelings. But when you do this, you do risk disturbance. Because other teachers will say, oh, why are you doing that? You know? Have you ever had felt like the teachers that don't want to change, they want things to stay the same way? You know?
They don't even want you to change because they feel challenged.
Exactly. So when you follow this path, you have to expect some of that, you know. And for me, it's not so bad, but other people are nicer than I am. I think. They have feelings, and they don't want to hurt people's feelings. Another thing that is difficult for teachers sometimes is that, let's see, Roger and I, right? We might be in the same classroom or we both teach the same building, right? And we both have problems with discipline. Roger decides he's going to do one thing, right? Okay? And I'm going to do another. That's what we mean by plural structures. Roger's got his way to solve this, and I have my way to solve it. Is yours better than mine? Is mine better than yours? Maybe, I don't know. You know, but the problem is there's no one answer. It's not do it this way, okay? And there could very well be a different answer for everybody in this room. So you have to expect that. You can't walk into a room, in the teacher's room, and say, hey, I did it right, I did it my way, you should do it my way. Your way might work, Valia, but maybe not for me. Okay, so you create plural structures. It causes for some people it causes problems because they want one answer, and there isn't one answer. And eventually, all those ideas, the theories, Piaget, who are some other famous theorists that you use in your country? Educational theorists. Maslow's hierarchy. Vygotsky, certainly social. All of those ideas. Not Skinner. You know David Ausubel? Have you heard of Ausubel? Ausubel and Novak wrote
methodology,
Bloom's taxonomy. All that's, as you do action research, you consider all these things, and eventually it just becomes part of your practice. This is what they mean. Theory and your teaching, your practice, become internalized inside you. Okay, now we get to how do you do it. Okay, so before you do action research, there's planning. Okay, and we're going to do that. We're going to plan today. I don't know what you're going to do when you leave, but I hope some of the ideas today you'll take forward. You do planning. Then you'll go back to your classroom and you will monitor and document the action. You'll videotape, right? You'll collect everybody's. Then you'll look at the data and you'll analyze it. You'll make claims, whether it was good or it wasn't good. And then part of action research is not just keeping it to yourself, it's sharing it with other people. So that's what going public, making your research public, is sharing with other people. This is a very difficult part of the process, by the way, because we know that you're very busy. So this is, a lot of action research goes unsaid, frankly, because we know teachers work very hard. You have a lot of children, you have a lot of students, you have a lot of work, and going public is sometimes difficult. That's why Google groups and blogs, that sort of thing, are good to share, to share what happened. That's why I even asked you, is there a place where I can put this work so you can see it? A public place. And eventually, forget Bloom, forget Skinner, forget Vygotsky, forget all the theorists, it's your theory. You will own it, okay?
Yeah,
It will
you
be.
create your theory, yes.
Yes, exactly. You've got it, Amir. What were you going to say?
You create your theory.
That's right.
Yes.
And we call it a living theory.
Yes.
Living theory, because when I walk in the door, okay, I have my theory, right? But after today, so you're going to say something, you're going to do something that's going to change me. It's going to change my theory.
Yeah.
So it is a living theory. So we read all those books, and it's static, it's set. I want you to think about your own theory, your living theory. What's... By the way, this is higher order thinking here. This is analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. It's higher order thinking. Okay. All right. So this is like we said the cycle. It starts with we start with problem identification. We're going to do that now, and then we look at the problem, we evaluate it, we change, we make recommendations for changing our practice. We change the practice, we reflect on it, it gives us new questions, and that leads to looking at problems, so it's a cycle. Most of my students think of research as something we do in the laboratory. It has a beginning and an end. It's not like that in the real world. Our classrooms are not laboratories. They're living things. So it's more cycle. It's more of a cycle approach. Does anybody want to ask me a question or say anything? Because I'm going to give you an assignment now. You should, and yes, Gabby.
You have to use any kind of frame to record all the observations.
There are many different ways to record the data, observations. I think video is a great way to do it. Okay, that's what and audio recordings and pictures. I also recommend a journal. As you're going, we don't do this every day, by the way. This is, sometimes things are bugging you, and you're like, I got to do something about this. It's bugging me. And so that's when you write it down. This is what's bugging me. And keeping a journal during that change, I think, is very important. I can't even remember what I did yesterday. I go to visit teachers, and I say to the teacher, so how did class go today, right? And they go, oh, it went great. So how do you know it went great? They can't even remember what happened in the classroom. I mean, literally, it's like a blur to them, So keeping video and keeping a journal is very important data. Okay, Gabby, there are other ways. I'll show you at the end, okay? All right, at the end there'll be more ways to do that. But a journal and video, I think, are very good. I would keep, also, all the student work samples, quizzes, tests, writing samples, all that is data. I'll show you how to organize it later. That was a good question, Gabby, thank you. Anybody else want to say anything or ask anything?
I think ActionResearch could work if there is some kind of collaboration between teachers. Because sometimes you need to observe maybe more than one class.
Right.
Let's say, for example, you want to probe the issue of students' responses to teachers' questions, or you want to study the way instructions are given. So sometimes a degree of collaboration within the institution where you work is required. And this way a teacher can do his action research. I think the idea of action research is a good one because it demystifies research. Research is not those people who write books, those people who teach it. No, it's the teacher. You can address a particular issue, you can do your own research, and you don't have to be as rigorous as those articles we read in specialized journals.
Which don't mean much, by the way.
Yeah, sometimes
frankly.
you don't see the point, but when you read an article written by a teacher, then you feel that there is something in there that you could use.
Right.
That's why the idea of empowering teachers is very important. So I think collaboration is very important. If we can have some kind of framework within which we can work with other teachers and we're allowed to get into their classrooms, I think teachers could come up with some good work.
Nice. Some very good words there. Demystify. I like that word. Demystify. Take the mystical
Yeah.
away. Make it real. I like that word. Nice.
One thing, because I was thinking that in order to write the thesis, you have to follow certain steps that are, it is fixed.
It is fake, is right.
Yeah. And while here you were talking about recording and some kind of diary and here. Do I have the same fixed structure, you know, because I am messy, you know? So sometimes I need structure.
Yeah, I think there is structure. I can show you in the PowerPoint later. But I think I teach research, you know, I mean qualitative, quantitative, action, all sorts of research. And a lot of students are taught that, you know, their master's thesis and their research, it's like a formula, you know? Do it this way. You start here and you go here, you go here, you go here. I think that's a misconception. I think research is messy. I think it's flexible.
So I'm the
And sometimes, and I think sometimes it causes many problems, and the teacher should be very strong.